Well, hello everyone, and welcome to Hockenheim. Welcome to the Porsche Esports Carrera Cup Deutschland round number 4. My name is Connery Medic, and I'm joined by the one, the only Paul Smith for this broadcast. A bit of a change to the schedule coming into this one. We were originally meant to be at the Nürburgring, but at Hockenheim we are, and well, we have to get ready and prepped to go racing here as well. A bit of a change of plans as far as the drivers are concerned. Maybe their preparation is going to be a little bit different from this one compared to what it would have been at the Nürburgring, but I'm certainly ready and raring to go here, Paul, for what is going to be a fantastic race on a relatively new track on the iRacing service.
Yeah, absolutely. And by the end of this round, of course, we'll be at the halfway point of the championship. And this is a really good circuit for hard and fast racing. There's plenty of overtaking opportunities around here. So expect there to be plenty of moves being made out there. It produces fantastic action, thrills and spills. So with us switching this for the Nürburgring, I actually think this is a really good way to go into the halfway point of the season.
Yeah, I think so too. We'll be heading towards Silverstone at the end of the month, August 29th, then we'll get the actual Nürburgring race. This is what the swap around was, so we swapped round 4, round 6. So we go to the Nürburgring on the 12th of September, then Suzuka for round number 7, which is, well, we have to update our graphics. This is not Suzuka anymore. It is the Red Bull Ring for round number 7. And of course, round number 8 is still going to be our mystery track there for the end of the season, going to be announced about 48 hours before the start of that particular event, where the top 32 in points are invited to that final race. There will be no qualification during the week prior. But, you know, Hockenheim, what a fantastic circuit. Of course, hosts many a German Grand Prix gone by. And you've also got the fact that the DTM race here, a whole bunch as well. So lots of, lots of pedigree behind this racetrack. Of course, it's changed a lot over the years since it was first built and raced on. But I think the layout that it's got right now is still pretty good.
I mean, yeah, it is good. It doesn't hold quite the same charm as the old circuit where you were absolutely blasting through the forest there. But times change, safety concerns and noise concerns as well for the local people as well, meant that we ended up moving to this layout, and it does still, as I say, produce some really good racing out there. There's some really hard braking zones, as you can see on the track map here. Into turn 2, that's a really good overtaking opportunity, but you've got to be careful with the run down to the hairpin as well. That is a big one for turn 6. Turn 8 as well, the tight left-hander in the little arena, mini arena section. And then Sachs curve, you don't really make any moves into there, but you can do it if you're brave. And then the end of the lap, you can get an undercut through the Sud curve before you end the lap there. So there's plenty of opportunities out there. It's a relatively sort of medium-sized track, 2.84 miles, 4.5 kilometers long. So the drivers are going to have plenty of opportunities out there to be able to attack this track and to try and really wring the most out of the cars.
Yeah, I think so too. And well, that braking zone into the hairpin is going to be a big contentious issue, I get the feeling, over the course of this event. That's where, like you said, all the main overtaking moves will be made. Here's a reminder of the point structure then. Same amount of points divvied out per race here, given we have identical races with no reverse grid. So 50 points to the race winner, 45 to the second, and 41 to third. And you can see the breakdown even further for both of the races here today. And in terms of the season prizes, well, 12,000 euros goes to the winner of the season there at the very end. And you've also got second place getting 8,000 euros, third place getting 5,000 euros. A very neat prize pool here for this championship, the Porsche Esports Carrera Cup Deutschland. And of course, we got additional prizes for those that have competed in additional time in all of the time attacks across the season. And of course, the overall winner of the season will actually be able to, of course, restriction pending, get themselves the opportunity to have a celebratory award dinner with Porsche. So that's going to be absolutely fantastic for whoever gets that opportunity. Right now, it's Maximilian Bernecker that's looking to get that opportunity with 270 points. He leads the championship with Diogo Pinto Very, very strong driver, very strong couple of races as well for Diogo. He's on 255 points in second place, and the final prize-paying position is Patrick Holtzman at the moment in third place, but he's still within striking distance of Diogo Pinto. Then there's quite a considerable gap between Holtzman and Dan Beats in fourth, with Vecchio in fifth, then Williams there in sixth place, Tiba seventh, Ferreira eighth, Lombardi ninth. He had a very good day at, well, a very good qualifying at Monza. Let's see if he can continue that qualifying performance here into the Hockenheimring. And Enzo Benito rounding out the top 10. He will not be joining us today. Unfortunately, he did not qualify for today's event. So, Paul, we've got ourselves still 15 minutes of practice left for the drivers to get themselves acclimatized to the track conditions. But you know, we're coming into what is looking to be another brilliant event. We've seen crazy battles, not only at the very front of the field, but in the mid-pack as well. The mid-pack in particular is very, very close. And I think that closeness will be even more exaggerated here at the Hockenheimring due to the potency of that draft coming down, not only the pit straight, but also, and then down in towards turn number 2, but also down into that hairpin as well.
Yeah, through the carousel here that we're looking at right now, through that long sweeping left-hander. It's actually clustered as 2 different corners through there, and then down into the hairpin as you see the 28 of, that would be Dan Beats. No, Alexander Tiba, I do apologise. Yeah, working his way through the hairpin. So, as we say, that slipstream is going to be key around this track here. It's really going to have such an effect, especially in that first half of the lap. Into the more complex areas, the technical areas through where we've just seen Tiba go through, and then into the old arena section, the old stadium section. That definitely is going to be really key to what we see out there, and there he is through the Sachs curve right now. So it's pretty much single file through this section of the track. You can get the over-under here if you force the car in front of you to make a mistake, but these drivers are so good, they're such high-caliber drivers that getting a mistake out of a driver is such a hard thing. But me personally, I think Diogo Pinto, if he can have enough of a good showing here today, sets himself up really good into the second half of the season and takes a lot of momentum into his championship battle.
Absolutely. Momentum is, well, when it comes to a season performance, momentum is what it's all about, the momentum and the consistency, of course. But right now, these drivers are concerned about, well, making sure their season is stable at this midway point. It's one of the crucial points of the season. You know, you can't be having too many dud results here, otherwise your final flourish is going to be anything but. But as they head their way in towards the, well, this group of cars heads their way in towards turn 2. Of course, this is the start of what was the new 2002 redesign here at Hockenheim in the original racetrack. You would continue past the start finish straight, and then you would turn right like you do today, but you would not then break it towards turn 2. There's going to be a very, very long straight as you go into the forest and then into the first chicane at that layout. So I know some people reminisce about that old layout, Paul, but I think ultimately this one's just as good as that one. I think there wasn't really much in the way of overtaking opportunities at the old racetrack. Yes, there are chicanes that you can do moves on the brakes, but I think this one with the arena section in the middle lends itself a lot more to side-by-side action.
Oh, you're asking for a lot of trouble there, Connery. You really are. I mean, I was always a fan of the old circuit, personally. I just think that there isn't that many circuits now which have that uniqueness of it being an out-and-out power circuit. There was a unique challenge in that as well, in having your rear wing as skinny as possible, so when you did come into the arena section, it just did not want to cooperate with you, and that's where the driver's skill then would come into it and really show how those drivers could cope compared to others. So it lost a little bit of its charm, did the circuit when Herman Tilke went and did the redesign of it. As I say, I could completely understand why the redesign was done. and this is what we have here. It has produced some fantastic races, let's not forget as well, not just in Formula 1, but the Mobile 1 Super Cup and also the Porsche Carrera Cup Deutschland as well. So there's plenty of action happens here at this venue, so it's not like that we've got a bad track.
I mean, there's certainly worse tracks. Let me just say that, but...
Zolder?
Yeah. There's many other Autodromes that I can think of as well, but yeah, I'm glad we're not racing as Zolder, let's be honest. I don't think that would be conducive to the racing, I think, but it is one of the least popular tracks on iRacing is Zolder, but less about that, more about this track as we see Mario Velgut there, out there on circuit as one of the privateers today. Very unique livery though.
Yeah, certainly. It's good to see new drivers coming into the championship as well. It shows that with this qualification process, just because you maybe miss out on 1 or 2 races, you never give up. You can get yourself into these races, and as long as you, as you said, as long as you're in that top 32 of the points by the end of the championship, by that final round of the championship, you'll get that invite into that final round. So, you know, these drivers who are qualifying for the first time here today, it's a great opportunity for them out there.
Yeah, we had a whole bunch of drivers get themselves in that he's been in before. This driver has been in before though, Manuel Kubo Torres. Manel Kubo Torres, as it is meant to be, but he's heading his way through that first sector now, just getting those last bits of practice in. Solidly mid-pack at the moment for Kubo Torres. And continuing on his way. Diogo Pinto sending another fast lap here in practice. This just gives us a relatively good idea of how things are going to sort themselves out during the race. But remember, here in practice, it is open practice, so you can get a whole bunch of slipstream down the straights, and you're able to get better lap time as a result. That is not the case here in when we get to qualifying, because that is lone qualifying. Drivers are all alone out there on circuit with the 3 flying laps that they have to complete. So just because you see someone doing a very good lap here in practice doesn't necessarily mean they'll have the same amount of pace when it comes to that lone qualifying.
That's it. You know, the pressure is on with that lone qualifying. You only get a small amount of opportunity to get your lap time in, so the pressure is really on you. You'll see a lot of the drivers try and get that first lap in just to get themselves a good solid first lap, and then a second attempt at a qualifying time to really hang the car out, giving it absolutely everything, pushing the limits of the speed, and really go for it. This is what these drivers will be doing now, though. They'll be spending the time going around here just to see how the car feels for qualifying, because they will want to get themselves into that qualifying mode. It's nothing better than just spending this warm-up time getting yourself prepared for that 1 lap that you need to put in.
Yeah, we've seen how crucial qualifying can be before, because if you do qualify back in that mid-pack and towards the rear, you're in real danger of getting caught out by a couple of incidents that do tend to happen in that mid-pack. It's not a slight on the drivers, it's just the nature of the racing there, because everyone is so close, everyone's trying to get a one-up on each other. Everyone wants to get enough points at least to qualify into the final race of this season. That would be absolutely beneficial for them. But yeah, it's always a very, very tricky place to be, just in the thick of everything, because you have to keep aware of yourself. You have to keep your wits about you, as we'll see one of the Maniti racing cars going very, very wide there through the final corner.
Now, it's worth pointing out, that was Tim Matska, by the way, who was doing that. It's worth pointing out, track limits for this series. I mean, this is going to be a point of contention around this venue especially, because track limits, as it is defined in the regulations of the series, are defined as white lines including the curves. So, as long as you keep 2 wheels within the confines of the track including the curbing, then you're okay. But as soon as you go beyond that, and like that last corner, the curb on the outside, out that last corner, the actual curbing finishes shorter than where you would actually ideally want to run the car. So you do end up going over the green painted asphalt So the question there is, where do you stand on track limits? Because by the regulations, you've breached track limits by doing that. But one driver who's not worried about that right now is Alexander Tiber, who's sat on pit road.
Yeah, just sitting there patiently. But you are right, though, about the track limits. However, the stewards do have discretion as to regards as to where they enforce it more strictly than some other places. And I would have thought through that final corner, they wouldn't mind people transitioning from the curb through onto the green, coming through the exit of the corner. I'm sure they wouldn't mind about that. But yeah, there's always these edge cases, Paul, and
you know me, Connery. I'm all about the edge cases. I race competitively, so I'm always going to ask, well, what can I get away with? And that's what all these drivers will be doing out there. They'll be thinking, right, what can I get away with here?
And that's why we have a drivers' meeting before the before the actual race, so that the drivers can ask the stewards questions like certain areas about where track limits are going to be enforced and not. So yeah, it's exactly how it is in the real world as well with the drivers' meetings with the stewards. Then that's where they get to ask all the sporting questions. It's no different here in sim racing. Riding on board though with Riccardo Ferreira as he's in the Harnage competition number 13 machine, currently in P12 as he heads his way out of that hairpin. Going to be such an important traction zone there, because even if you don't complete the move coming into the hairpin, you can still. I usually see some extended side-by-side battles coming down into this section right here, where you can also go and launch one on the brakes if you're pretty daring. Yeah,
absolutely. So it's things like through that hairpin, if you have lost the inside line, it's not the end of the world. You can get the launch onto the power earlier on the exit of that hairpin at turn 6. So there are the opportunities out there for the drivers to fight back out of that hairpin. That's what makes it such a good spot to watch the cars go down into and see who gets on the power best. And of course, I mean, track temperature, that's going to be a key thing around here as well, because there are quite a few acceleration zones, and if it's a high track temperature, those rear tyres will be crying by the end of the race.
Yeah, they really will be. There's the track conditions, by the way. We are currently in sim time, about 12:30 in the afternoon, so that track temperature still has room to climb over the course of today. But because the way we set up the sessions here, the practice always starts at 12 p.m. noon, and the day of the race is the exact day that we're in right now, the 1st of August. So the seasons are replicated here. So we're still in the summer, so that's why we got such hot conditions. But as we get towards October with those final couple of races, Paul, that's where we actually see the track temperature on average come down a little bit, and maybe with a bit more cloud cover too.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're going to be progressing towards the end of the year and seeing it more favourable for the drivers out there. When it's hotter like this, that's where tyre management, where car management comes into it. And how hard you push the car at the start of the race. Do you save yourself some tyre so that when you come in towards the end of the race, you've got that little bit extra to be able to push on. That's going to, now this corner right here, into the final corner of Sud Curve, is going to be something that will be hot on the stewards' point of view here for track limits, because you can see them all running onto that drag strip there up over the sausage curb. That is going to be one of the keenly spotted positions for track limits around here.
Most people through there pretty tidy though. I have no complaints of the people who have passed our static camera at the moment. As long as they keep 2 tyres on that blue and white, then that should be fine. Although, if you're taking the definition of curb literally, then you could also say that sausage curb still a curb. I can still put my tyres on it and push that far wide. But yeah, just one of those things that drivers will always try to push the limit, no matter you put a set of regulations on them, they will try to explore the edges of those regulations just to gain an advantage. It's the exact same thing as in the real world, and it's just the nature of racing. If you find some way to be able to get a little bit of an advantage but still stay within the regulations, well, you'll be rewarded for that.
And when you're in a fixed setup series as well, every little 100th of a second matters in a series like that, because it can give you just that little edge over your competitors. So definitely it's something that you will be pushing to the absolute limit and sometimes beyond.
We've seen a lot of limit teasing over the course of this season. There's one of the Leo Racing team cars. That is Dino Lombardi, who's currently leading this practice session. They were, well, that now is over the track limits out of turn 1. So this is the good opportunity, though, in this practice session for drivers to actually try and explore the limits, to be honest.
It is, but they've run out of time, so now it's going to all come down to qualifying here. They need to do it on the track when it matters. That warm-up session doesn't really matter. It gives you an idea of how you're going to go, but people might be holding something back.
We will have to see. So we transition over into the qualifying session. Just to remind everyone of the process, it's a lone qualifying session. All the drivers will be alone out there on circuit. No draft, no cars to get in the way. It is just them versus the track. They will have 3 full flying laps to complete here. So you might see, you'll have the out lap that won't count as a lap time, but they will get themselves 3 flying laps. But of course, with the fact that you only get technically 1 out lap in an iRacing 1 qualifying session, if you tow back to pit lane and then go out again, in a lot of cases, depends where your pit stall is, that out lap will still count towards your total.
Yeah, you certainly got to know where you are on the track as to how you can make that one work. But someone who knows how to make it work is this man right here, an 11,052 iRating. For anyone who's new to iRacing and doesn't know what an iRating is, it's basically, think of it like a ranking. And depending on how you do in official iRace supported and sanctioned races, you will gain or lose iRating depending on your result. So the higher your iRating, it's the opposite to golf. The higher you score, the better a driver you are considered to be. So definitely, it's good to see somebody with an 11k iRating out there performing, and of course he is our championship leader.
Yeah, of course, making sure you can get the temperatures and pressures up to the operating window before he goes on his flying laps here. And one thing of note, actually, is that we've had our first victims of the penalty point limits come through in this race, round number 4. So we've had 2 drivers that have gotten themselves qualifying bans because they've gone over 6 points on their license as far as the penalty points are concerned. So that's Andrea Alberti and Dylan Scrivens. So for those 2 drivers, they are not allowed to take part in qualifying. Yeah, so they will have to not set a time, but they will be allowed to start at the back of the grid instead of starting from the pit lane. So at least they've got that going for them.
Absolutely, but we're on board with Benneker then down into turn 6 here. Look out for your braking marker, about 150 meters away from the hairpin. Getting in nice and tight. Careful of not spinning up the rear tyres here on the exit of the corner. Turn 7 is going to be absolutely flat out through here. Get the car over to the right-hand side. Hit the brakes nice and early to get that car tucked in, because you want to keep it to the left-hand side. Get on over that curb on turn 9. Turn 10, careful not to kill it too much, because the curb on the inside does spit you out. Turn 11, back out into the old stadium section, running some curb and then some, and then into Sachs curve. This cambered hairpin helps you out so much. You can carry a little bit more cut of speed through there. 13 and 14 absolutely flat. Hit the brakes, down a gear, hook it in, use the road and then some, and then through the curve, up over the curb, help hook you around that final corner. Comes across the line, and that's not bad, a 39.4, but he'll be disappointed with that, but that's a banker lap from Max.
Yeah, there's something to build off of now throughout the rest of the session. He'll even bring that car to a stop and take the tow back to pit lane. So he'll use one of his fast laps as another out lap, and then he will be back at the end of the session to set in another fast time. Till Bem then, in the number 99 car, still yet to set a time. They're coming towards the end of the lap right now, so through those final 2 corners, final corner now, and driving all the way to the line. across the line comes the 99, a 114.1 for Tilbem. Where does that put him? Well, we have to see if it's even valid at this point. I don't think it was.
No, it wasn't indeed. So an invalidated lap. That just means that you've put a wheel on the grass, or you've gone over track limits as defined by iRacing to give you an incident point. So that invalidates your lap. Gianni Vecchio, driver yet to score his first lap time here, and he'll be looking to do a good job because really the Team Redline and that whole outfit and the Porsche 24 by Team Redline car, they're all really working together with people like Max Benneker and Patrick Holtzman and those drivers, although I don't actually see Holtzman here in this session today.
Well, he was invited. He can join this session at any time before the end of qualifying, but yeah, you're absolutely right. I don't see him on the current drivers connected to the session, shall we say? So yeah, that's potentially a big one in terms of championship around where he is. Oh no, Gianni, that's gone a bit wrong, hasn't it?
Yeah, look how easy it is to make one little mistake there, and it costs you time. Now the pressure's going to be on him to really push on. Andre Martin's 7th place. He's carrying on, trying to carry the speed into another lap here and hopefully get another lap out of those tyres. He can sometimes get a second lap out of the tyres here as he goes through turn 2, but at the moment Diogo Pinto and Christopher Dan Beats currently in front row of the grid. That's good to see Dan Beats up there. Lombardi as well. He's been showing some good pace these last couple of rounds of the championship.
He has. Maximilian Benneker is also on a lap right now. It will be his final flying lap, so let's see if the German can put himself up onto pole position. Here he is on that in that Porsche 24 driven by a Redline machine. Best lap of 1:39.413. He has to beat a 1:39.250 to get up into pole position. It's certainly within his capabilities here, Paul, but the little duels between Max and Diogo have been brilliant this season, so I wouldn't be surprised if we see the same again. Careful, Max.
I think that's cost him his lap time there. I think that one mistake has cost him big time. He's carrying it on, so he must still be up somewhat, but that's cost him a good 10th or so. Running out wide into the gravel. What time can he get here?
Oh, again, pushing the limits as far as the final corner is concerned as well. It's a 1:39.415. He was only a couple of thousandths slower than his best lap. So I think without that mistake, he definitely would have improved. Whether or not he'd improve enough to go under Pinto's time, who has now improved, by the way, is going to be a different issue. But yeah, right now, 4th is the highest that Benneker is going to start.
Yeah, that's your championship leader, don't forget. I think we can see possibly him doing one of those drives where he works his way through the field. As I say, it's not the be-all and end-all to be on pole position, but it certainly puts you in a very, very good position to start off this race.
Here's Nico Viersikpi. 2 minutes to go left in qualifying. Let's see what he's able to do, heading his way across the line now. This is his last chance to set a lap time, otherwise he's going to have to start at the very back of the starting grid. What's the lap time going to be for Nico? Across the line he comes, and it was going to be number 15 out there on circuit. So gets the time in, not a problem at all. Here's Gianni Vecchio then. Of course, he botched his first flying lap, and now this is his last chance to get a time onto the board, hoping for, I would say, probably around the top 5 or 6.
Well, that's what his hope would be, that's for sure. Minute and a half, so he's got plenty of time to finish this lap, but that will be it. And again, he's pushing the limit. I mean, he has to push the limits. That's the thing. He's got one opportunity here to get his time in, and it has to be an absolutely top one here. So through the final couple of corners, gets that corner right, sud curve, carry the speed. That looks a better lap, and across the line of 39.6. Well, that puts him about 6th, 7th place.
Oh, yeah, up into 8th place.
8th place, sorry.
Yeah, it's a very, very close little grouping there in qualifying, all the way from Andre Martins in 7th down basically until Iglesias in 14th. That's a very, very tight little pack there in qualifying, separated by only a couple of hundredths, a couple of tenths of a second between all of those. So it's going to be a very, very close mid-pack once again here in this event. I think most of everyone is done here as far as qualifying is concerned inside this final 20 seconds of the session. So it looks like our starting grid for race 1 is set.
It does look like that indeed. It's worth pointing out that first down to 17th covered by a second, so really good, close grid once again. And yeah, we'll get to see the fun and what goes on in this first race, because it should be an absolutely epic one.
Let's take a look at your starting grid then for race 1 of round number 4 of the Porsche Esports Carrera Cup Deutschland here at the Hockenheimring. Diogo Pinto, pole position for the privateer in the 1-2-1. Christopher Dambeats, 2nd place, front row start for the red line driver. And you've got Dino Lombardi for Leo Racing Team in 3rd. Maximilian Benecke in 4th place here today to start. Alexander Tiber in 5th, with David Williams getting himself a 6th place on the starting grid. Andre Martins starts in 7th, with Gianni Vecchio starting in 8th, Ricardo Ferreira in 9th, and Tobias Grunskotter lining up on the 10th grid position. Dominic Weber for Hexagon Racing there in P11, with Tim Matska from Maniti in P12. Adam Volkovic will start in P13, with Tristan Iglesias in P14 for Geodese. Then you got Mario Velgut in P15, with Nico Vizikpi in P16. Lucas Lang in P17 today, with Matthias Siebels in P18. Luis Tarifa starts in 19th, with Marcel Erang 20th. Valero 21st, Kos in 22nd, Beme in 23rd, and Muth in 24th. Then you look back, Dylan Scrivens, Manuel Kubo Torres, Andrea Alberti, Patrick Schnatzstabel. Well, 2 of those got themselves a non-qualifying penalty, and 2 of those didn't set a time in qualifying, so they have to start at the back right next to those that got the penalty. So, with only a handful of moments to go before we get ourselves race number 1 started and underway here at the Hockenheimring, it is Diogo Pinto on pole position, waiting there patiently for the signal. P2 does get the inside down in towards turn number 1, so that might be an option there for Christopher Dambeats to make an impact early on in this event. Of course, we've got to watch out for Dino Lombardi and Maximilian Benecke from the 2nd row of the starting grid. Watch out for that Kwanzaa Porsche there of David Williams, the purple car in the left-hand lane. The engine notes climb then here at Hockenheim. Round number 4 of the Porsche Esports Carrera Cup Deutschland is underway. And here we go. What a start it was for the race leader. What a horrible start it was from Dambeats, though. He's just about still clear in towards turn number 2, but it stacks up everyone behind. Alexander Tiber trying to make some forward progress. He's side by side with David Williams coming down into the first heavy braking zone of the lap. 2 by 2 in the mid-pack as the Pinto tries to run away in the front. They're still scrapping for position. Tiber and Williams.
We've got big crash.
Oh, yeah, we have.
Big crash at the back there. And I tell you, one driver you didn't mention that had a terrible start, and that is Maximilian Benecke. He dropped down to 12th place at one point. He's made up a position so far in recovery, but from 4th place on the grid down to 12, he just did not get away from the line at all. It was almost as if he'd burnt his clutch out a bit.
Of course, iRacing having made that change during, I think it was sort of after the first couple of rounds of the Porsche Tag Heuer Esports Super Cup, where the drivers, the clutch wear is modelled a little bit better, the clutch overheating as well, and Tobias Grunskotter able to nip his way down the inside of the Yassit car of Andre Martins there after that Yassit car was battling with one of the red line machines a little bit further down the road. So a little bit of a chaotic start here to race number 1 at Hockenheim. Andre Martins continuing to try to fight around the outside into the hairpin, and well, this is the outside for Tim Matska into the hairpin there as he tries to find a way around that Arnage competition car and, well, continuing on the battle through the final sector.
we've seen how robust Tim Matzka can be with his attack and defence, so certainly he'll be pushing on in all of this race. But there you go, there's Andre Martins in front of Tobias Grunkotter, and then Maximilian Benneker. He's made up a couple of positions up to 9th place now. There you see him in the orange and white number 11 car, looking to the inside. Thank you very much. That's another position up to 8th place.
Yeah, he is, and well, I'm trying to have a look to see what happened through the first sector there to cause that absolutely humongous incident that we had. And I have to say, it might be the blame going to the 103 of Mario Velguts, as he just kind of lazily went into the side of, I think it was Vizikby at the time, that kind of caused a whole bit of carnage behind. Let's have a look at that replay, in fact, of that 103 in the middle of a 3 wide in towards turn number 2. You're on the middle 3 wide and just turn to the right a little bit too much, and Vizikby had no way of reacting to that, and so did a lot of drivers behind.
It's such a difficult position to be in, though, when you're in the middle 3 wide, because you're trying to give room to both cars, and it is a difficult one. So, and especially on lap 1, with that portion of the course where it does turn from one direction to another, I can, give a little bit of leeway as to what happened there, but yeah, it wasn't the greatest of opening laps there.
Yeah, I don't think it was either. So, well, the race continues on. The stewards will, of course, be looking at that, so we will get news and see if there are any punishments coming the way of anyone involved in that incident. But right now, Pinto leads from Dambeat, from Lombardi, from Williams, from Tiber, and Pinto just goes in and sets another fastest lap of the race. And well, what he's doing right now is really trying hard to break the draft. Here's the start from Maximilian Bernecker, in fact. Oh, he just bogged down.
Well, he gave it a boot full of throttle, dropped the clutch, and it just spun up the tyres. And then, of course, he tries back in Elfin, trying to get going again in that second phase. Then it bogged down. It was awful. Here we go then from Sables then. Have a look at the Hexagon Racing driver's point of view. Down the inside, you can see those cars in front. There's the contacts in front, and now where do you go? Oh, nowhere to go.
Absolutely nowhere. And that has ruined a good handful of drivers' races. Has that incident there. And again, the stewards are actively investigating that. So we should have a decision on that one come relatively shortly. But, even if a decision does come through and punishes a responsible driver, it doesn't do anything to fix the races of the drivers that got caught up in that.
It doesn't, but by apportioning some form of blame on an incident like that, it does get put down as driver's license points, and it can go towards a qualifying penalty like we saw with 2 of our drivers at the start of this race. So Scriven's one of those who has managed to avoid all that, up to 16th for him. So yeah, it does go against the license. Here's Orang's point of view. So you'll see that contact in front, and you can't really see, and oh my goodness, just cars everywhere. Where do you go? Oh, watch out for the recovering car. 2 cars split that one. That was Daniel Muth involved in that as well. So yeah, heart in mouth moment, that's for sure.
Yeah, got to get your heart rate down after that one, I think. That was a very, very interesting situation. But yeah, 25 minutes still left in this race, by the way. We've only got 5 minutes done here, so, and we do have another race to come as well after this one. So a very long day of action here at the Hockenheimring. As there's the basically leading train, although I would say it's more of a train for P2 at the moment, as Pinto's continuing to attempt to pull away. But it's Dambeat, Lombardi, Williams, Tiber involved in the train here. And well, here's the onboard with David Williams as he locks onto the back of Dino Lombardi, and a little bit Christopher Dambeat a little bit further down the road.
Tiber's dropping down. Yeah, he's dropping down the order there. So something has happened to Tiber. There he is. Obviously had an issue down into turn 8.
I've just seen it. It's not pretty, especially if you're a Team Redline fan. As you see a couple of drivers flashing the lights in behind him might have been contact with Gianni Vecchio. As we'll get to see that heading their way through the left-hander. Oh, Gianni just collects him. taps his rear bumper, sends his teammate around. Careful, a rejoin. Now, well, Gianni might get the blame for the initial incident there, but for sure, Tiba might be under the investigation by the stewards for an unsafe rejoin.
Yeah, that's not the best, really. You need to hold your brakes, wait for a gap in the field before you get going away. You can't just pull on into the middle of the track and then cause all the cars to just absolutely scatter across the track. So, yeah, not the best of rejoins there. I know he'll be frustrated with what's happened there, but that doesn't excuse a rejoin like that.
Yeah, it doesn't. It really doesn't. Here's another look at the battles that have been going on. Gianni Vecchio going down the inside of Andre Martins. Side-by-side battle through the exit of the hairpin. Martins has a little bit better speed coming off the corner here, so he'll be able to at least win the drag race slightly up in towards turn number 7. Gianni will lose a little bit of speed on there on the inside. Still is able to commit to the outside here of turn number 8, but he gets, well, he pushes himself a little wide there and has to slot in behind Martins and, of course, behind Bernecker.
Yeah, the recovering Bernecker had the best view in the house there behind those two. But, yeah, just carrying too much speed into the corner. You called it absolutely right there, Connery. He was trying to make round the outside work, because it can, if you can hold that outside line, it gives you the inside for the next 2 corners. So it is an option that is available to him, but unfortunately just carried that a little bit too much, went out wide, and Maximilian just says, oh, thank you very much, that's going to help me recover in terms of today's race and in the championship.
Yeah, so a couple more points going Bernecker's way, but he has to be cognizant of the fact that Pinto is continuing to catch him up in the championship. I don't know if the point swing in this particular race is going to be enough to put Pinto either near or ahead of Bernecker in the championship, but it's getting really close to that point now, isn't it? Pinto's driving his socks off over the past couple of races.
Well, it was a 25-point... No, it wasn't a 25-point lead. It was a 15-point lead that Bernecker had. And while the difference between first and 6th place is, I can tell you, 18 points.
Yeah.
So Pinto, he's looking good. This is why Bernecker, it's important for him to get past Martins as quick as possible and try and get on the back of David Williams.
Yeah, well, here we go. Defensive driving, though, from Andre Martins, just cutting off all the lines. Let's see if Bernecker is going to be able to squeak his way past. Meanwhile, you do have that battle a little bit deeper in the pack involving the number 53 of Daniel Muth, and this is also Manel Kubo Torres that is, well, clear around the outside. But, you know, lots of places to look out here. Battles up and down the field. But one of the more important ones is the one between Yassit Andre Martins and Redline's Maximilian Bernecker, because Bernecker really needs to stem the bleeding in terms of points.
Certainly does. You're absolutely right there. He needs to move forward if he wants to. I mean, it's not the end of the world if he does finish in 6th place at the moment, because there is a second race, of course, after this one. So we've got another half-hour race, and it's only been just over 10 minutes. This race, there's been so much happening in the first 10 minutes. I thought we'd been at least 20 minutes.
All right, we've got a couple of penalties coming through already. So lap 1, turn 3 involved, well, was that big incident in towards the first sector. Warning to the number 15 for unsafe rejoin, not holding the brake. Then we've had some penalties come a little bit later on inside of that, in that Gianni Vecchio and Tiba incident. So Gianni Vecchio has got himself, as we see the battle between Bernecker and Andre Martins going on at the moment. So I'll recap the penalties a little bit later on just to see what the result of this particular battle is. Andre Martins continuing that momentum around the outside of the kink, and now hard on the brakes. Bernecker trying to get some momentum around the outside. They almost make contact through the corner, and in fact, that Andre Martins had a little bit of a slide, was able to recover it, though they're still got an overlap, but Bernecker just about falls behind as they head their way in towards the arena section. But recapping, Gianni Vecchio Tiba incident, a 5-second post-race penalty for Gianni Vecchio due to that contact. Only a warning for the unsafe rejoin for Tiba, though.
Well, there you go. the stewards have spoken. Vecchio feeling more pressure from Matska behind than trying to apply it in front. You could see that Beneke was able to do what Vecchio tried to do with Martins, hold that outside line through turn number 8. It gives you a good run then into turn 10. Wasn't able to quite make it work into turn 10 and 11. But Beneke's showing his intentions here. He wants past Martins, but all the time that these two are scrapping it out and slowing each other down, the drivers in front are just pulling away.
Yep, they really are. This is exactly what everyone David Williams and forwards needs to see at the moment. Beneke getting a little bit stuck behind RJ Martins here. Here comes the slipstream then on the way down in towards the hairpin. The defensive inside line being taken by Martins. Here comes Beneke deep around the outside, so late on the brakes compared to Martins, but he still can't get anything done. He'll try and get the traction off the corner and the slipstream and, well, maybe an opportunity down in towards turn number 8 here. As long as he can get the run through turn 7, you can see Beneke just cutting that corner as much as possible, as much as he's legally allowed to do, and now looks for the alternate line into turn 8, but a defensive line there from Martins. It just means that he has no way through.
And Martins is going defensive early into these corners. He's forcing Beneke to take the less favoured lines into these corners, and it's slowing him down. You can see this queue of traffic behind that's just formed here behind Martins. Oh, very deep into Sachs curve. He can get the run out of the corner, so it won't affect him too much. But it's little mistakes like that that Martins makes that Beneke needs to take advantage of.
Let's see. Well, you don't usually have an opportunity down in towards turn number 1 at this track. It's the braking zone in towards turn 2. That's the important one. So make sure you carry the momentum through turn 1 to be able to allow something to happen into turn 2. But again, Beneke still not quite close enough. He's going to show the nose anyway, just to keep Martins on his toes. For Beneke, though, he does have Vecchio just kind of up behind him at the moment. So maybe we'll see what happens with regards to that. Maybe Beneke let Vecchio by and see if Vecchio can have a go, if he'll try and find more success. But here comes the draft once again. Here comes the defensive inside line again from Martins. Is there going to be a different result, though, on the brakes this time around? Beneke similarly late, getting that car slowed down. Almost has an overlap, but it's Martins that's ahead.
Teeper's just dropped down a couple of positions again. So he had been moving forward, but has dropped down again. Martins holding that inside line. Beneke just not able to make it work. It's such hard work to get past Andre Martins. He's got the widest Porsche out there on track at the moment, and it's paying dividends here.
It really is, and well, Beneke just can't find any line that works. He now needs to try something different, try and prepare for something different. Maybe this is something different through the hairpin, but well, it was just a slightly different line there from Andre Martins, just going a little wide. But here we go, now in towards those final couple of corners once again. We are indeed past the halfway point of this race now. Still one more race to come as well. The starting grid for that will be the results of this race. But Beneke, hoping in race 2 he's going to get a little bit of a better start than he had in this one. He's done well to recover to where he is so far, P6, but really was there on that P5 away. Meanwhile, got a bit of a battle behind as well.
Yeah, you can't run that wide and keep the position. If you've stayed ahead or if you've made a position up because of running that far wide, you need to give the position back or give the time back, because that's gaining an unfair advantage using the track limits there. Whoa, as we've got a car spun around. Who is that? Oh, that's at the 53. That's going to be Daniel Muth.
Muth having problems. Continuing battle between Martins and Beneke here as well. Again, nothing doing into the hairpin. Beneke is closer than he has been now in towards turn 8, though, so let's see if he can get anything done here. Middle of the road there from Martins. His defense has actually been absolutely stellar so far in this event. He knows exactly where to put his car. That causes Beneke all these problems.
Yeah, he certainly does. You sometimes find that the drivers who maybe don't have the outright pace are really good at defensive driving because they get plenty of practice at it. I know that personally is how things work out for me. As there we go, Benneker showing that different line. It's not working out because Martins can get the run out the corner. It's not usually an overtaking spot, but Benneker's going to have to start thinking different lines as Martins runs very wide, using liberal use of the track limits there.
Yeah, does get a little bit of an advantage as a result, but the Stewards will be all over that one. What's happened to Muth then? Because we saw him have a bit of a problem.
Caught that curb.
Yeah,
Caught that curb, it's unsettled his car. He's done the right thing, holding his brakes. Boot full of throttle, get it spun back around and away you go. But here again, Benneker, try again. You know, the definition of idiocracy, being an idiot, is trying the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. Well, Benneker's been forced to try the same thing. Now he's getting a bit more aggressive to the outside. Try and get the cutback here. That's what he's going for. He wanted that cutback to get on the power earlier. It's not quite worked out.
I could see him trying something different that time around. He tried to squeeze Martins all the way to the driver's right-hand edge of the track, and now he's going to go around the outside of turn 8 because Martins is slow into the corner. Is this the pass for Benneker that he's been so desperately trying to get for the vast majority of this race? Martin's still ahead. Martin's still with the speed and is still ahead and clear. There seems to be nothing that Benneker can do.
Yeah, he's getting that outside line. You can get on the power sooner, and that allows you to get away. But look at Benneker. He's all over the back end of Martins, and still he can't get past. This is a tremendous display of defensive driving. That's a lunge, and it's going to work for Benneker, is it? Well, Martins will get the run. Sideways, half a spin, and Benneker drops down 1, maybe 2 positions.
That's the desperation coming into play there, Paul. He needed, well, we were talking about him needing to try something different. That was certainly something different, going for a lunge into the penultimate corner. Bits of door-to-door contact through the apexes, though. That will be deemed as racing instance as far as the stewards are concerned. There was absolutely nothing in that, just close racing. But look at this, as close as you like between the two Porsches. A little bit of contact there. Sends Benneker into a slide, but he's able to gather it up.
Now, Gianni Vecchio, he's got a 5-second penalty, hasn't he?
Yep.
So does he basically throw a caution to the wind and just go for it? And if he gets involved in another incident, oh, well, so be it. I've already got a penalty. Oh, Muth! Power slide out the corner there. That won't be helping the rear tyres. Those rear tyres now will be starting to scream mercy and say, I've had enough here. But Vecchio to the inside. He's not afraid to try it up on the curbs.
Oh, just absolutely demolishing that curve on the inside there, sending the Porsche up onto 2 wheels. Now he's going to release Benneker, though.
Well, I don't like that because it's not a team's championship. You're all in it for yourself, so, but there you go. Obviously, Vecchio thinking you've got a better opportunity at it.
Yeah. Meanwhile, you know, Pinto is just laughing at this, saying, aha, I'm just in the lead by about 1.7 seconds. I'm laughing all the way to the bank. Maximum points in this race for me. There he is, out there at the moment, continuing to close the gap to Benneker in the championship. I
want to point out, by the way, Dino Lombardi in second place has pulled a 2.5-second gap over Christopher Dambeats. So a tremendous drive from Lombardi to get himself into second place and then be able to pull away.
Yeah, we'll keep an eye on that situation at the very front, but it's all this, well, it's not so much a trolley train, it's a Martins train at the moment, and that's not an insult to Andre because he's been driving very, very well to try and keep everyone behind him at this point. It's been absolutely crazy, crazy stuff for him. And, you know, now this actually kind of puts a nail into Vecchio's coffin in particular because he has that 5-second penalty. Yep. The more he gets stuck behind, the more cars that are going to be within that 5 seconds that are catching up behind.
Yeah, Martins has got 7 cars behind him. It's like the queue at the deli counter. When you've pulled your ticket, you're waiting patiently for the guy at the counter to finish getting served. But then you find out that he's serving a party of 12. But there you go, Beneke putting the pressure on. He's looking to the inside. This is his opportunity right now.
Coming in towards the arena section, through the right-hander, careful to the track limits. Andre just about keeps within them. It's wheel to wheel into the hairpin on camber. And Andre Martin still ahead, still fighting, and still maintaining that 5th spot. He started 7th in this race, and has, well, if he's able to keep ahead for the next 8 minutes, this is one of the best defensive drives I've seen, that's for sure.
Yeah, this is a tremendous display, and the level of frustration that must be in the cockpit of Maximilian Beneke and everybody behind him. Because the thing is, they've all got the slipstream behind, so nobody can really make any moves. It's that front car in the queue that's got the best of it. Everybody else is pretty much stagnated because they're all getting the same slipstream here.
Yeah, here we go. Slipstream once again down the back straight on the way into the hairpin. We've seen this so many times before, Paul, but is there a different result this time around? Beneke half a car length clear, almost a full car length clear into the braking zone, but Martins will have the advantage on the inside, and he's able to get back ahead. So again, you're exhausting all the options here if you're Beneke. You know, what else do you need to do to try and get yourself past? Because everything you're throwing at the wall simply isn't sticking at the moment. He'll look to the outside here through towards turn number 8, but again, nothing doing there.
This is tremendous to watch. This is brilliant. I'm loving every single second of this, and I hope you all are too at home. Look at how close Beneke is. He's almost touching the rear bumper and the engine of that car in front. Big wiggle then, got a tyre onto the gravel, did Beneke. And you can see he's dropping back further and further off the race leader. 10.7 seconds off of the race leader right now. This is costing him big time. And if he does eventually make it past, they're that far behind, they're 5 seconds behind David Williams, that he can't make up any more positions here.
Yeah, it's crazy. Oh, Martins has to be careful about the track limits there. I think he just about kept 2 tyres on the blue and white curbs, which is how we define our track limits here in this particular race, in the vast majority of cases, apart from, I think, the final corner, where it's a little bit more leniency. But yeah, you gotta be very, very careful about that. Otherwise, the stewards are going to say, well, we're going to give you a warning first of all about track limits. But after they give you a warning, they might give you a time penalty to add at the end of the race. So you have to be super, super careful. Here comes Beneke from quite far back, lunging to the inside, and Martins gives him the space here. But does Beneke have the traction off the corner? He doesn't. The car just didn't want to grip up.
Yeah, that shows, and it shows big time. And again, but that was Beneke trying something different then. He didn't try going side by side, going into the corner at turn 6. And now look at him, he's all over him. And he's giving him absolutely everything. And Martins now, they're alongside. This is what Beneke wants. He's got Martins compromised here.
Oh, it's going to get close off the corner, but somehow Martin stays ahead in that one. I don't know how he's done that. And Beneke, he's going to get even more frustrated. He's driving right up to the rear end, the rear bumper of that Porsche ahead of him. He's got to not let the red mist descend, though. He can't afford to be having penalty points due to an instance that he gets himself in because he's angry. He just has to remain calm and still, again, have another couple of attempts before this race is done.
Yeah, the last thing you need is to get yourself worked up and angry, because you got to keep the emotion out of it. Yes, you're getting frustrated. Yes, you know that you can go quicker. We've seen that Beneke's been all over the back of Martins, but Martins is positioning his car absolutely spot on every single time, and it's working for him. Beneke's having to get creative and try different things in different places, but here we go again to the outside. Now, if I'm Beneke, I hold Martins a bit tighter, but he's not. He's taking it back out to the racing line. I would be holding Martins tighter and then at the last second diving out, so that then you can get the move out of the corner.
With all of these attempts that Beneke has made, though, is he has he kind of just ruined the rear traction of that Porsche, though? Because he's sneaking all over the place, coming on the pit exit, on the corner exits here. But look at this towards the outside of turn 8.
That's
Big
it.
lunge around it. This might be it, but no. Beneke, I think he's struggling for grip. I think he's overdone it on the tyres.
Well, you think he's had to do a recovery drive to start with. He fell down to 12th at one place. So this is a heck of a recovery drive, but I would say even more impressive is Martin's defensive work. That is for sure. He's doing a tremendous job out there, but he's got 3 minutes. He's got to try and hang on to this one with for all his might. Beneke, we know how dangerous Beneke is once he can make a move. It's just getting into position to make it stick.
Yeah, this is crazy stuff. I know we're commentating like it's the battle for the race lead. It is the battle for P5, by the way, but it's giving us an equal amount of excitement as if it is a battle for the race lead. That's how crazy this fight has been. But you can see the split screen there. There's Daniel Booth there in the 53 car involved with a couple of other machines heading their way through the final corner. Yes, he gets dove in on down the inside.
That's what Beneke needs to try. If he can get close enough, that is. But no, it didn't work out. So Move hangs on to that position. He'll be disappointed with 20th. I'll be honest there. He really will. Look at this behind as well. So you got that cue for Beneke. But now this is Scrivens. What a drive from Dylan Scrivens from the back of the grid up into 10th place.
Where's he come from? that's all I'm asking. Wow, what a drive from Scrivens after getting well, it's effectively a back of the grid penalty with the qualifying ban. And now looking down the inside here is Scrivens looking to try and pick up another position to go up into P9. He's on a massive charge and, well, will get rewarded with a whole bunch of points if he's able to pull this one off, especially against the 2-1-2. That is the Tobias Grundkutter. And Tobias Grundkutter can't quite hold on the inside. He still might have an opportunity to get by again on the outside for the hairpin through the Sachs curve, turn number 12, but nothing doing there for Tobias Grundkutter. So that is Scrivens up to 9th now. Tremendous
drive. There's been some epic drives out there, and we're seeing some of them. But this sort of battle here for 5th place has really helped bring those cars like Scrivens into this one and give them an opportunity of some good points.
Yeah, it really does. And, well, it just goes to show even if you get a penalty, you have to start at the back of the grid, you can still make up a whole mountain of positions there. And that's exactly what Scrivens has done. Manuel Torres, also Manuel Cubo Torres, excuse me, as I do get his name wrong quite often apparently. He started at 26, he's up 14th now, and here comes the battle then for Maximilian Beneke and Andre Martins. Beneke's found his way to the inside for the hairpin at turn number 6, but it's always been the traction that's the problem, and it is again.
My goodness, what a drive. Now, we've only got 25 seconds left. Where is the leader in all of this? Because he is dictating whether we are on the last lap or not. And this should be the last lap, so Beneke is running out of time here.
Yep, he is. And, well, yeah, it is the last lap. As you can see, Pinto just coming into the Sachs curve now. Time will expire before he gets himself to the line. Battle for P5 still so important, especially with Beneke's, well, hemorrhaging a whole bunch of points to Pinto in this particular event. As Beneke looks to the outside for the Sachs curve, not going to get anything done there. Diogo Pinto at the very front will come across the line to win race number 1 here at Hockenheim in the Porsche Esports Carrera Cup Deutschland. But what's the battle for P5? It's Martin still ahead. Take a bow, Andre Martins, because you've held back the championship leader for basically 90% of the race and have secured P5.
I tell you what, tip of the hat to you, Andre. That was tremendous. Brilliant stuff there. I haven't seen a defensive drive like that for a very, very long time. He was basically holding on to that position for 20 minutes of this race. Absolutely sensational.
That is just some absolutely crazy stuff. I will have to catch my breath a little bit at the end of that one as we'll get ourselves the unofficial results in just a bit. Of course, you know, we do have those time penalties to apply for a couple of drivers, including Gianni Vecchio. But yeah, we will just have to take our time here and get ourselves prepared and ready for race number 2 here at Hockenheim. That was just the single race. That was just the first race, everyone. The second race could potentially be the same, if not even better. So, yeah, stay tuned for that for sure. But here are the unofficial race results from race number 1. Diogo Pinto wins by 1.2 seconds over Dino Lombardi. Credit to Dino Lombardi, he was actually able to close in that gap towards the very end there. So expect big things from Dino perhaps in race number 2. Christopher Danbeats in P3 with David Williams P4. And how about that? Andre Martins Yassit after, I would say 19 laps, 18 laps of defending basically to Maximilian Benecke. He's still able to come away with P5. That's brilliant stuff. Max, though, finishes P6, loses a whole bunch of points in this race to Diogo Pinto as far as the championship is concerned. Gianni Vecchio P7. Of course, he'll have a 5-second penalty, so he'll drop a little bit further back than that. Tim Matska P8. Dylan Scrivens with a monster drive from the back of the grid from basically the back all the way up into P9. They're good points for the Urano Esports driver. And Tobias Grundkotter for Impulse Racing in P10. Then, towards your top 20, you've got Ricardo Ferreira, Gael Valero, Tristan Iglesias as his first appearance in this series. P13 is a very respectable result. Emmanuel Kubo Torres, P14. Alexander Tiber, 15th. Dominic Weber, 16th. Igor Kos, 17th. Mario Velgut, P18. And Daniel Moof, P19. Lucas Lang rounds out the top 20 in terms of drivers. Marcel Erang in P21 as Luis Tarifa comes across the line in P22. Patrick Schnatzabel in P23. Nico Vizicki P24. Til Beme P25. Matthias Siebels in P26. And Adam Volkovits will round out the 27 car finishing results here today for race number 1. I have to remind everyone because we do have another one coming up in around about 9 or 10 minutes time. But Paul, I gotta say, you know, we mentioned it throughout that broadcast and, you know, mentioned it at the end as well. Andre Martins, what can you say?
I think I'll say that Porsche might be having words with him because he had the widest Porsche in the world, so they'll be taking measurements of that car, that's for sure. But no, tremendous drive, absolutely tremendous. We'll see some of the highlights of the race. Worth noting, I've just done a little bit of quick sort of maths from that. Gianni Vecchio should have dropped down to 13th with that 5-second penalty, so a bit of back of the envelope maths worked him out to being there. But I mean, that race, it had a lot. It really did have a lot. What a start from Pinto. We had that big accident out of turn 3. Multiple cars caught up in that. 4 did not finish after that incident there. And then you had the recovery drive from Maximilian Benecke, who dropped down to 12th place at one point in that race, and he was working his way through. And then he met the immovable object that was Andre Martins. What a drive. Seriously, I am massively impressed with the defensive display that Andre Martins showed out there today. That was sensational.
Yeah, and it was fair and respectful as well. So some very good racecraft on display. And I know with a couple of drivers, you know, in particular in relation to Andre Martins, they think he's a little bit of an aggressive driver on a lot of occasions. But this time he showed that he can give space, he can, you know, have some fair racing, and that's exactly what we saw there between himself and Maximilian Benecke. There was, you know, there's nothing in it as far as anyone being nasty to each other on track. It was all fair. And while yes, there was a little bit of contact through the final couple of corners on one of the laps, that was more of a sort of racing deal with trading paint more than anything else. So fantastic fight, and I hope we see more of it. Yeah,
that was just... If we could have race 2 like that, but instead of it being battle for 5th place, a battle for 1st place, that would be absolutely perfect. I would love that. Thank you very much. But yeah, I mean, the race highlights, you can basically show the last 20 minutes of that race just with those two, with what happened out there. Daniel Muth, he will be disappointed with that result, I think, after a couple of getting involved. I mean, he managed to avoid that lap 1 incident, had a spin later on in the race as well for him, so he will be a little bit disappointed with how things ran out there for Daniel. But as much as we've been singing the praises of Martins, we also have to sing the praises of Dylan Scrivens, Yes, he gained a ton of positions from that lap 1 incident, but then he still had to work his way through the field and get himself into a position where he could challenge for the top 10. And I do believe it was 9th place in the end that he got there. So tremendous drive from Dylan to find himself all the way up there.
Remember, we still have another race to go, around about 5 minutes before we get the starting grid for that one. Remember, the starting grid for the race number 2 is just the results of race number 1, but of course not including any time penalties. So Gianni Vecchio will still start in P7 despite getting his 5-second penalty. He'll have to remain in P7 because we can't apply the time penalties in the middle of an event like this one. So that's the situation there. There's the lap number 1 incident once again, coming out of the final sector. That kind of shuffled up the back half of the mid pack, that's for sure. But hopefully we don't get to see such scenes in race number 2 coming up in a couple of moments. So I gotta say, we've been talking about Scrivens, we've been talking about Martins and Beneke, but I gotta say, a solid drive for Pinto to win this race. He just got away, ran away, and never looked back. And yes, Lombardi was closing in on him at the end there, but it was a very comfortable race for Pinto.
Pinto never really extended his gap more than 2 seconds, and that is a case of him just managing his game, managing his lap times and his race there. So he was driving a little bit within himself and the abilities of his car, because he really could just look after the car, look after the tyres, never really under any threat at all. But Dino Lombardi, you're quite right, was coming on strong in the second part of that race after he got himself in 2nd place. But yeah, I mean, Pinto really, he only needed to just drive to a number and drive to a figure and say, okay, I'm still 1.7, 1.8 ahead. I'm outside of the slipstream here, so let's just keep at this pace and manage the race there. It's really what you need to do if you're ever in the lead of the race. Just manage things up front.
Yeah, and that's just exactly what Diogo Pinto did. It's as simple as. Lombardi, though, again, great qualifying, converted into a great race finish as well, P2. Whole bunch of points come with that one, so it'll launch him up the order as far as the standings are concerned. Again, no dramas either for Dan Beats, really, apart from the start, or David Williams. In fact, David Williams was one to really capitalize on how that start worked out. He went from P6 all the way up into P4, and that's where he could remain for the large portion of the race.
Yeah, David Williams, who of course has had a bit of bad luck in this championship earlier on. I'm thinking of when he was a punching bag at Imola. But he had a good result last time out at Monza, and now this time here, good opening first race. He'll be looking to follow on from that and really secure himself a really good, solid result in the second race to take into the second half of the championship.
Yep, that's the important thing. Once again, it is momentum, it is consistency through this middle part of the season, which will put you in a position where you can potentially challenge for some prize money at the very end. But we're only a couple of minutes away now from getting our starting grid ready for race number 2. Okay. What are the expectations, though, for this one now? Because Maximilian Beneke will know for a fact now that if he's not clear of Martins after the first lap, he's going to get a bit of deja vu.
Yeah, it's going to be, oh no, here we go again. Round number 2 of this one. But I think he'll give himself a bit of a break, work on his start. So, of course, we've got a 10-minute warm-up session here. And what he can do is he can basically just launch out the pit lane, reset his car, launch out the pit lane, reset, and just keep practicing those starts to really nail it in, because that, at the end of the day, is what cost him a big amount of points. The fact that he had to work his way through 6 positions he gained back in the end, but he started on that second round of the grid, awful launch, and it'd be a good reset for him to then go, right, okay, that race is gone, we've got another opportunity to try and push on here.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's very tough in a field with such a high caliber as this one to even make any forward progress. Maybe, like you said, he has to take some lessons from Scrivens about how to do that. But But yeah, that's one of the main things that we're going to be watching on this start. Benneke's initial getaway, maybe even a couple of other drivers' initial getaways as well, because Dan Beats didn't have the best of starts either, which is why we saw all that clumping for P2 and back, and that's a large reason why Pinto was completely unfazed through the entirety of the first lap. So again, it is very, very tough to start these cars in a standing start, Paul. A lot of these guys who compete in the Porsche Carrera Esports Super Cup will have done that on a regular basis. But you still, even if you do have that whole bunch of practice, it still it seems to be more like a in the moment sort of decision of whether your clutch is actually in the right place, whether you put in the right amount of throttle to be able to get that good getaway.
Yeah, and it's just practice. And when you think you've done enough practice, you do some more. And it does come to a point where each track, it does have different grip levels. So different tracks will give you a little bit of different grip off of the launch. So you have to factor that in as well when it comes to your starts.
Yep, you really do. But we have come towards the end of the 10 minutes of practice that we have here in between the races, and we've got our starting grid for race number 2. It is Diogo Pinto on pole position with Dino Lombardi P2, Christopher Dan Beats in P3 with David Williams P4, Andre Martins and Maximilian Benneke, they're good friends on P6, 5 and 6 respectively. Vecchio, Matska, Scrivens, Grunskotter, Ferreira and Valero will cycle things down just that little bit further down to P12, with the rest of the starting grid cycling their way through on your screen. We only have a 1 minute of gridding here before we get ourselves started, so we do have to go about things rather quickly. You can see the likes of drivers of Volkovic and Alberti rounding out the final row of the starting grid. But what does race number 2 hold here at Hockenheim? We had a fantastic event number 1, but we go 30 minutes of racing again here in just a couple of moments' time. Here we go with green flag at Hockenheim, and Lombardi gets a horrible start. It's from the second grid spot, and now he falls back through the field. David Williams up into P3, challenges Dan Beats into the corner, and here comes Benneke with a run of speed on the corner. There's a big incident behind involving Lombardi. Oh, it's gone so horribly wrong for him, but Benneke crucially has gotten ahead of Martins, and now he's challenging Williams.
Yeah, he got a better launch that time, was able to shoot the gap between Martins and one of the other drivers as well, so got himself moved forward. Williams is a little bit slow there, not able to compete. Martins following Benneke, but backing off out of it. Williams is keeping the pressure on there, but Lombardi, as soon as he went into turn 1, there was contact made, around the went, I'm sure. Oh, there's even a big incident in the back as well, as we've got more cars around at the hairpin. Everybody's getting back up to speed. We've got 2 cars in the pit road.
Oh, Benneke's outbroken himself into turn 8, and of all people, it's Andre Martins past him. Ding ding, round 2.
Wow, this is absolutely sensational. This is Benneke must have been thinking, yes, right, I've got the job done, I've beaten him, and then he outbrakes himself. Cold tyres, cold brakes. No!
Cold tyres sends Andre Martins around out into the grass. So from panic to, well, actually I'm all right with this, from Maximilian Benneke, as Martins completely slides through the arena section. Again, like I said, cold tyres could be a factor here in this one on a first lap, and Martins gets put back through the order a considerable amount.
All I'll say is good luck to Hugo, our director, to try and bring us all of the replays of everything that's happened here on lap 1, because it's been absolutely crazy here on lap 1. It's been a good launch once again by Pinto. Dan Beats has had a better run of it this time, and he's certainly keeping a close tabs on Pinto. But it's Benneke now with Williams behind. Is Williams going to fight too hard, or is he going to think, well, we can work together, catch up to the leaders?
Yeah, it's probably in Williams' best interests to have Benneke just pull him around the circuit at the moment. I do feel that Benneke has that slight edge as far as clear air performance is. So he'll be trying to catch that leading pair. But there's a look at the start. Look at the Lombardi's awful start. Just gets swamped by the field. And here's the contact in towards turn number 1. No contact at all. It just gets upset over the curb.
And then just gets caught. There's other cars getting involved there as well towards the rear. So, yeah, just catching that curb. And that curb is lethal. It will just spit you around if you're not careful. And unfortunately, that's what's cost him dearly. He's down to, what, 20th place now.
What's happened to Ricardo Ferreira in the unarged competition car? Looking for a line down into the hairpin. Oh, we got run over from behind by the 23 car. That is Luis Tarifa.
Yeah, just Tarifa appeared to be coming in full guns blazing and then hit the brakes, and it just did not want to stop. And unfortunately, the innocent party is Ferreira.
Yeah, unfortunate to be caught up in that one. I believe Tarifa might have gotten himself a 5-second penalty previously. How can I describe that one? Yeah,
that was ambition above reality, I think, is what that one was. Then from Tim Matzke.
What's the Brundle quote? The optimism above adhesion or something like that. It's front rear contact between Beneker, well, not Beneker, excuse me. It was Vecchio and David Williams there. There's the spin from Andre Martins. And has to wait a little while before coming back on the circuit safely.
Yeah, that was just a case of he carried a good speed through the hairpin, got on the power, and it just did not want to cooperate with him, and around it went. And I feel like I say this each and every week that we cover this championship, because it is a rear engine car. That engine is behind those rear wheels. As soon as the back end goes around and you lose adhesion, it acts like a pendulum, just spins you around like a spinning top. So yeah, once you start having the rear end overtaking the front, you're in big trouble.
You really do. 5 minutes gone in the race, 25 to go. Things a little bit closer as far as lead grouping is concerned, but the times that Pinto has been putting in, he's been putting in fastest lap after fastest lap. He's now pulled the gap out to Dan Beats by 1.1 seconds at this point. So Pinto seems to be in his element here at this circuit, even doing faster times than Maximilian Benek is being able to put out at the moment.
Yeah, he's doing a good job out there. This has been Pinto's day so far. Of course, getting pole position, winning that first race, now pole position for this race and out front again. Daniel Muth, who we had a look at there he is. He's got damage on his front left. That'll be affecting his top speed down the back end here, so he'll be struggling to make any moves into this hairpin. He needs to make moves where maybe top speed isn't key, but it's all about getting the good run. There's a little kiss from behind, more of a kiss though, and it's Andre Martins. No! Oh
no. It's got it from who was our standout performer in race number 1, has got him himself involved in a bit of silliness in the middle and the back of the pack here. He just runs straight into the back of Tilbeme. And that might end up being a penalty coming Martins' way now.
Well, the gloves have definitely come off for this second race, haven't they? Drivers are feeling a little bit more liberal with the that front bumper that will just move people out of the way. The stewards will take a dim view of that if you use that too liberally. But Gianni Vecchio then, a little bit of damage on the front of his car, but here's a look at Dino Lombardi. Just bogged down, he spun wheels initially, then bogged down, gets absolutely swamped into turn 1. Watch out for that curb, bang, around it goes, and Tim Matzke was the innocent party in all of that.
Yeah, for Lombardi, gets clattered by a car as well, trying to come through on that one. But yeah, for Lombardi, you know, it was a problem from the get-go in that start. In the initial phase, just trying to roll off the line, just a whole bunch of wheel spin. He realized that, he lifted out of the throttle, trying to let the revs come back to him. Tried to make sure the tyres had gripped up, and then he pulled it again, and then it became a more of a late stage of the start problem where he just spun the wheels up again. And yeah, it's the only way you're gonna go. The only way you're gonna go after that point is backwards, unfortunately.
Now look at this, Torres up in 9th place. Really good run from him up there. He's got Dominic Weber behind. Tobias Grunkotter and Tristan Iglesias as well. So these are drivers that we don't normally see battling out for the higher points positions. That's nothing against their driving ability, by the way. It's just that there's usually others up in that top 10 that push them out there. So it's great to see them battling it out, and it's a 4-car train. Well, it's more than that because there's more behind them.
Here we go then, as we will continue to watch this battle for P9 head its way around with Manuel Kubo Torres and Dominic Weber in those two Porsches there. Let's see if Kubo Torres can hold on to this P number 9 with Weber bearing down on him in that number 15 car. Battle for positions just inside of the top 10 here, and well, there's kind of no one ahead of them either, so you know, P8, P7 a little bit further down the road, so it might require a bit of effort for these guys to try and catch those cars, but for now they might even fight amongst themselves. It all depends on all of the ooh, we had a bit of a technical issue, but we're back, and well, it might all depend on the slipstream here down in towards the hairpin, and here comes Weber.
Certainly to the outside. We've seen how this doesn't always work. A little lock of tyres, and here comes a bit of an advantageous attempt then from Grunkotter, trying to go down the inside from that little lock-up. I do want to draw your attention to as well, Maximilian Benneker has actually been lapping a little bit quicker than the top two and has got within 3/4 of a second of second place. So Dan Beats could be starting to feel a little bit under pressure. Benneker, now that he's been allowed to actually break free and get into some clearer air, he's got the foot down here.
Dan Beats is attempting to keep Pinto within around about that 1.1 to 1.3 second mark, and has been doing that so far, but I just get the feeling that Pinto's just trying to manage the pace at the very front. He doesn't want to go absolutely balls to the wall immediately and burn up his tyres at the end of the race. Remember, it's relatively warm out there here today, as it will be the case for most of these summer races before we get into the later parts of September and into October for the end of the season. So yeah, it's just maybe Pinto's just driving a little bit more conservatively now. He just says, okay, I want to kind of sit 1.2, 1.3 seconds ahead of Dan Beats at the moment. That's a pretty good spot for me to be in. It means that I don't have to push too much and take a whole bunch out of the tyres. And if I do need to push, you know, because Dan Beats has let Benneker through and Benneker's charging at me, then I still have that tyre life available to be able to go pushing 100% at the end.
I don't think that's the case. I think he is pushing because him and Benneker have matched pace on that last lap. By the way, contact for Torres. Oh, down at the hairpin, he's lost 2 positions. Doesn't lose a 3rd, but that's cost him a couple of positions there. Mistake down there into the hairpin. Yeah. I say Valero is having issues out there as well, and we'll get to see what has happened to him.
Ooh, a little bit of contact, leaning on the red line car. The Orano Esports car down the inside. Ooh, and Valero was the car with the flames, which is every boy's dream of putting flames on the car, and that's exactly what he's done there. But he just kind of completely bailed out that corner. Once he saw those 2 cars steaming down his inside, he's going like, I'm having none of this. I'm not going to go 3 wide into turn 8, so just kind of let them through.
I am right in saying that Scrivens overtook both of those in that one move.
I think so.
That was, yeah. I mean, he was throwing it in there, and fair credit to him, he reached the apex and stopped it. Because we've seen time and again how drivers will dive it in, but then miss the apex. And yeah. Tip of the hat, Scrivens. Oh, Scrivens, he's on a charge today. Here we go, enough to look at it.
You have to wonder what he could have done if he didn't have that qualifying ban and started in a proper spot on the starting grid for race number 1. Might have even gotten a little bit further up the field, but here we go. There's the move to the inside. There's only a car's width of space there, but the car's width of space is all he needs. 3 wide through turn 8. And the red line car having to push a little bit wide, but yeah, Scrivens through on 2 cars, 1 corner. That's how you want to have it done.
Valera got bullied out the way and all of that. I do feel it was a case of, all right, we've had enough of playing with you. Get out our way. We're coming through here.
Scriven's still battling with Tiba, it seems. Well, they were initially a little close there, and they are. Well, it wasn't, excuse me, Scriven's battling with Tiba, it was Valero and Tiba, because they are still very, very close. Out on circuit, we're on board with Valero, one of the privateers in this league, no association with any esports team, which is why, well, he has a rather basic livery, I suppose, but sitting on board with him now is the view from the rear end of Tiba, of Team Redline, and, well, to have his wits about him here, because Valero might decide to stick a move on him at any point, but with a run like that at the final corner, the chance is reduced.
Beneke, by the way, was 0.3 of a second faster than your race leader. He is on a charge. He's got to get past his teammate in Christopher Dambeats, which, well, if Gianni Vecchio gives us an indication from the first race, he'll just move over, really. But if I was Dambeats, I wouldn't be doing that. He's in 4th place. He's got some good points here. He finished 3rd in race 1. He was 4th in the championship coming into this round. So, you know, if he can catch up to Pinto, then I think Beneke will be happy to stay behind. But if he can't, then Beneke will want him to move over and get out of his way.
By the way, there were some student decisions for Tim Matska's incident, where he completely locked up the brakes into turn 8 and completely cleared out one car. Well, he got a drive-through penalty for that, so that had been issued and I believe has been served. So yeah, I think that was one of the only options the stewards had, to be honest, with an instant as clear as they like that one. Coming up to 15 minutes left in the race then, halfway to go. And what's the decision between the two red line cars then? Is there any move out of the way for Dambeats, or are they going to be having to fight for position and potentially let Pinto get away?
Well, it was this circuit in 2010 when we heard the infamous line of Fernando is faster than you. So are we going to be hearing that with Max Beneke? We'll see them come across the line for another lap. We'll see their lap times, and Beneke actually a little bit slower that last lap than your race leader. Dambeats the quickest of the 3. And the thing is, David Williams is hanging around in the background of all of this. He's just outside the slipstream, I would say, but he's giving it a good push with Vecchio along with for the ride.
The thing is, as they came across the line, though, that time around, I think, yeah, Pinto was about a 10th faster than Beneke through that particular little section, but he wasn't faster than Dambeats, though, because Dambeats put in a great lap, 10th faster than what Pinto was able to manage. So the gap still remains rather the same as they head their way through turn 7 and onto the brakes into turn 8, but there's still a lot that can happen here in the final 14 minutes of this event. Pinto still maintaining that above a second gap clear, though. It becomes more of a concern for Pinto if one of these cars is able to get back into his slipstream and reel him in that way.
Yeah, he'll be having some support in his ear, just saying, okay, gap's this much, keep up the pace, you're doing a good job. They've got to get, you know, they've got to arrange some sort of change of positions if they want to challenge us, because he's got the number over Dambeats, I do feel. Beneke, I mean, it's been an epic battle throughout this championship so far between Beneke and Pinto, so I mean, selfishly, I want to see Max make it in 2nd place and challenge Pinto towards the end of the race, but Dambeats is doing a very good job of it as well.
Let's see, no negotiated pass at all down in towards turn 2. Let's see what happens coming down the back straight then, because like you said, I do feel that in clear air, Beneke is just that little bit faster, is closer than he ever has been to his teammate coming down into the hairpin, and now will Dambeats fight this one, or will he just let Beneke have the position down the inside, and he lets him have the position. So Beneke up into P2, and now can look to go chasing your race leader down.
Yeah, apologies about the loss of pictures there again. But yeah, now Beneke is trying to push on now. He needs to show that he has the pace and can really push it on now. So that's what Benneker will be hoping for. We've got battling between Scrivens and Tiba further back. So you see that on the left-hand side of your screen. Benneker on the right-hand side of your screen now. We've got to see if he can reel in that gap to Pinto, because he's got just under 12 minutes. It's not impossible, but it will take quite a bit. And as the great Murray Walker used to say, catching is one thing, passing is another.
I was wondering when you were going to pull that one out of the bag, Paul, but we all do from time to time. But yeah, now Benneker has been released, and you can see he's gapping Dampies already. That's just how much faster that Benneker is at the moment. Through that whole lapping procedure, though, they did lose about 2/10, or well, 1 or 2 tenths. So that's something that Benneker will have to make back up. But with 11 minutes left to go, certainly not outside the realms of possibility that Benneker will at least get up to the back of Pinto. But like you said, whether or not he'll be able to pass him is a completely different issue. We're having a look back at the Tiba, Scrivens, Valero little fight going on the left-hand side of the screen there as well. Nothing's really changed with regards to that at the moment while we've been watching it. But again, it's one place where if you want a bit of action, potentially it might start there.
Yeah, certainly could. That's for sure. As they go through. So yeah, Valero, I think, will be happy just to sit behind at the moment, see how things pan out, and then try and push on towards the end of the race to maybe sneak a 7th or 6th place. You can see Pinto there in shot with Benneker behind. Benneker was a 10th and a bit, 10th and change faster on the last lap. Now, what's it going to be at the lap? This will be the first clear air lap that Benneker has had after passing Dan Beats.
Keep an eye on it. Here comes Pinto then, up towards the final corner. He's had well, I would say, look at the slides that the Redline cars had through the final corner there, though. Trying to keep themselves within the track limits. Here comes Vecchio as well, locked onto the back of David Williams, getting all the slipstream on the way down in towards turn number 2. I don't think he's going to opt to make the move, though. Yep, he just lifted completely out of the throttle just to stay behind for the moment, because yeah, the move into turn 2 isn't too popular because well, one slows you down a whole bunch if you go have an extended side-by-side battle through there, but that little slowdown also affects your pace all the way down the straight as well. Plus, that car that on the outside coming into turn 1, or turn 2, excuse me, has the inside coming onto the straight and they can get the speed off. So it's kind of not really all that popular of a move. You might as well just wait and make a move at the hairpin instead.
Top 3 pretty much matched each other on lap time wise, so it stayed pretty much stagnant. That's why we're looking at this battle between Williams and Vecchio. We usually see it into the last 10 minutes of the race where business does pick up and these drivers start to get the gloves off and start really pushing. So we'll have to see if that's going to be the case here today. Through turn 11, past the Porsche Centre, Porsche Experience on the background. There you go. There you can see it in the backdrop. So they will go through Sachs Curve and on again. They certainly been doing well, but Vecchio doesn't seem interested in making any moves yet, so I think it's more going to be into the last couple of laps of the race.
I think so as well. Meanwhile, Benneker's progress towards the front, well, it hasn't really been progress. It's continuing to, well, be a little bit impossible for Benneker to break that sort of 1.3, 1.2 second gap at the moment, all the way to Pinto. It was something that Dan Beats was struggling to do, and it seems like Benneker's also struggling to try and get any closer than that. So that becomes a problem, especially when you have a look at the time left remaining. Not too much at all. And we'll continue to watch Danny Vecchio versus David Williams, Redline versus Coanda, Taylor's oldest time with regards to the rivalry, but Vecchio just staying in line for now. Yeah,
and he seems quite happy to be there as well. That's apparent there. But Vecchio was 5th place in the championship, a couple of points, well, 3 points behind, should I say, his teammate Dan Beats, who's having a tremendous afternoon here. second place in race 1 and is currently in third place is Dan Beat. So Vecchio will be losing some ground on his compatriot in this particular event. And as I say, because there's no Patrick Holtzman here, this is a perfect opportunity for drivers like them and David Williams to really gain some points to try and get themselves into the top 3.
Yeah, that's the important point. It's only the top 3 at the end of the season that get themselves any prizes here in this one. Of course, not counting the random prize draw that we have for everyone who has completed all of the available time attacks. So, yeah, you really have to go big or go home in this series. Both of them got a little sketchy to the final corner. Now towards turn 1, there's still nothing doing here, but I think Vecchio is just being a little bit patient here. He knows he can't rush this move, and you know there's no reason to rush the move either, considering the gap between P3 and P4. I don't think he'll be able to smelt that gap in the time that we have remaining, even if he does get past.
Yeah, this will be just to decide who finishes in 4th place, unless there's an issue for one of the top 3 going in towards the end of the race. Now Vecchio, look at him, he's starting to go really aggressive. Williams going defensive. We said usually in the final 10 minutes is when people really start kicking things into gear, and Vecchio now starting to show that aggression. He's got plenty of space behind him as well that he needs to worry about behind. He can focus solely on David Williams.
Very close in through turn number 8, that left-hander. As you swing into this little SS section right here. The little mini straights before you get yourself to the arena section. Fast right-hand kink. Then you go onto the brakes into the Sachs curve. Got to be careful with the track limits there. Again, it's kind of self-policing in a way because you do have a whole bunch of gravel on the outside there. So if you push a little bit further wide than you were expecting, then you can get into a whole bunch of trouble if that gravel grabs you and sends you even further off circuit. But look how close Vecchio is following.
I think that's what's more commonly known as doing a Sebastian Vettel at the Sachs curve. But again, Max Benneker, these last 2 laps has been a 10th quicker each lap than Pinto, but it's not gaining enough time with the time that's remaining here. He needs to be gaining like half a second or quarter of a second a lap just to give himself any hope of challenging for the lead towards the end.
4 minutes left to go. Just a handful of laps, yeah, and it's becoming a little bit too big of an ask for Benneker, but not too big of an ask for Vecchio, at least in his little battle with Williams for P4. Up over the sausage curve he goes, the exit of the hairpin. That was one of the oh, what's happened to well, there's a battle between Grunskotter and Weber for P number 9 as we saw those swap around a little bit on our timing tower, but Vecchio and Williams still remaining within close proximity of each other.
Scrivens and Tiber are also having a ding-dong battle as well over that 6th place. You can see them in the background of the shot there. They're running pretty close together. Benneker is within a second. He's just about within a second as we look at that Scrivens battle with Tiber.
Yeah, so lots of places to look at. Battle for P4, battle for P6 as well. And maybe a developing one for the race lead as well, but I think Benneker is, well, he's on with the time, it's looking more and more unlikely unless there's a mistake that comes in from Pinto that puts him back into the clutches of the German. Lost another 1/10 of a second going through the first couple of corners there. In fact, that was around about 2/10 of a second that Benneker took out on that previous lap. So he's got himself into a pretty good position towards the end of this race. He needs more laps like that, and well, to be honest, he needs more he needs more in terms of lap time, shall we say, as we'll see the battle between Vecchio and Williams. Williams trying to defend, goes to the inside. Vecchio trying the long way around at the hairpin. Not going to commit all the way around, going to slide back in line. Looks to get the speed off the corner, and then they can move into turn 8, I would have thought.
So you may be sat there wondering, thinking, well, why is Beneke pushing so hard? Why is he keeping going? He's not going to catch up to Pinto in time. The thing is, if you keep on pushing and keep on closing up that gap, it's going to put more and more pressure on Pinto, and you're more likely to cause a little mistake for Pinto. So that's why he's trying that. Yeah, that's why he's trying to keep the pressure on and keep absolutely flat out as these two still together, not getting by. And but as I say, it's keeping that pressure on, trying to force a mistake out the leader in towards the end of the race.
Leaders are getting closer, but they're going to cross the line to start the final lap then. I think it's a case of Beneke running out of laps here for the race leaders. We continue to watch Williams and Vecchio to have that little fight as they'll head their way across the line with the white flag showing to signify the final lap here of the race. Down in towards turn number 2 they come then, as we're, I think Beneke's run out of steam here. I don't think he can catch up 8/10 of a second inside a single lap, but this is the battle. This is where it's at for P number 4 instead. Williams versus Vecchio. Vecchio has had a couple attempts already, but now he's running out of chances. Let's see what happens then, coming down in towards the hairpin this time around, Paul.
He's going for it, going for that wide line. We've not seen it work for anybody really, and Williams able to hold on for the time being, able to keep it nicely in line there. So yeah, definitely pushing on, but really these two, they're not going to make any moves, but Pinto is still getting closed in by Beneke.
Yeah, but I don't think Beneke has the laps at this point. He needs another 2 or 3 laps, and we're on the final one now, as Vecchio continuing to trying to find something in the bag to try and pull out and try and get himself past Williams. But Williams has been driving in a very exemplary manner to try and keep that red line car behind him through the Sachs curve for the final time. But at the very front of the field, it will be the driver of Diogo Pinto doing the double. It's been a perfect race day for Diogo Pinto as he comes across the line to win race number 2 as well here at the Hockenheimring in the Porsche Esports Carrera Cup Deutschland. He has done the double, maximum score coming out of round 4.
Tremendous drive from Pinto today. Spot on. He just seemed to suit this track all day long, and a little bit of a friendly love tap there after the end by Alexander Tiber. But yeah, Pinto, I mean, he was just untouchable today, I feel. He just always had that edge over everybody else out there today, and it showed.
Yeah, it did show, and could that be a swing now in terms of championship positions? We'll have to break the calculators out and try and figure out whether Diogo Pinto is now ahead at this point, and well, we'll have a change in championship leader. But there he is, taking his cool down lap, just celebrating. Well, he doesn't have a team to work with, so I guess he's just celebrating by himself at this point. But fantastic job for Diogo Pinto. You know you've done well when you win both races, and we haven't talked about you a whole bunch. It's brilliant stuff there for Pinto. Maximilian Beneke, what a recovery though after that horrifying start in race number 1. Able to get up into P6 in race 1 and P2 here in race 2. So for Beneke, it's well just about as good of a recovery as you could imagine, as you could have really expected from him. If he had a couple more laps though, maybe P1 might have been on the cards here in race 2. Christopher Dan beats P3, solid race for him once again. Of course, having to give way to Maximilian Beneke, who was by far and away the faster driver. David Williams holding on to P4 though. Fantastic result for the VRS Quantum Sim Sports car, the number 31, getting that position over the number 70 red line machine driven by Vecchio. Alexander Tiber, P6 today with Dylan Scrivens. What a day it was for him. Massive recovery drive after the back of the grid start that he had to complete. And, well, now here in race 2, he's able to get up all the way up into P7. Fantastic drive from Scrivens Valero P3, Grunskotter in Valero P8, excuse me, Grunskotter P9, and Weber rounds out the top 10 here today in race 2. Remember, these are unofficial results, not including any time penalties or post-race penalties that might apply. Manel Kubo Torres in P11 with Tristan Iglesias P12, Adam Vulkovic P13, Lucas Lang 14th, Andre Martins 15th after, capitalizing on Benneke's mistake at the start of this race, but making a mistake himself not 5 seconds later. Dino Lombardi, P16 after a horrible start. It seems that P2 grid spot was cursed here today as Daniel moved P17. Marcel Erang, P18, Matthias Siebels, P19, Ricardo Ferreira, P20 today, and then you have a look at the very back of the order. Igor Kos in his first Porsche Esports Carrera Cup Deutschland race finishes P21. Same with Patrick Schnatzbel. He's had his first race here today for WS Racing Esports, P22. Tim Matska, after incident and then penalty, finishes 23rd with Tilbeme in P24. Luis Rifa, P25. Nico Visby in P26 with Mario Velgut, rounding out the 27 car finishing results today here in race 2. So, there we go then. We've got another event in the books, Paul. Of course, the stewards will be looking over the races and handling protests and appeals and some such, so we'll get to see what happens with regards to that. But I gotta say, a perfect weekend for Diogo Pinto. Just did exactly what he needed to do, and he might, just might, end up coming out with the championship lead at the end of today.
I think he will be the leader of the championship by the end of today, and that's a really, really good turnaround of fortune compared to what happened in that opening round of the championship, where he ended up having issues in race 2 of the opening round of the championship. So yes, definitely really good for him to be able to turn that round and to get on a good run of form here for this race here today. And Silverstone next time out, I mean, that's going to be an absolutely epic one, because that's going to be Slipstream Central for that one. But Hockenheim produced some absolutely tremendous racing here today.
We did see a brilliant race when the Porsche Carrera Esports Super Cup went to Silverstone during the course of their season. So let's hope that's replicated here in the Carrera Cup Deutschland as well. We do have the opportunity to speak to at least one driver here. We can speak to the man of the moment himself, and if we actually bring Diogo Pinto up into the commentary booth. And Diogo, what a day. What a day for you. You score maximum points, race 1 win, race 2 win. It doesn't get any better than that, right?
Yeah, it was pretty good. I think this time I was able to break the draft, unlike the previous races. And yeah, in the second race it was a bit harder, with Max catching me at the end, but yeah, it was really nice. It's really hard to manage the tires here, but yeah, at the end it was just not make any mistakes and keep my place.
Yeah, and well, you didn't really make all that many mistakes whatsoever. How important was the start in both of these races here today? Because we saw some drivers just really struggle to get off the line. I'm not sure exactly what the issue was with them, but it seemed like you were able to nail the start not once but twice. Would you say that that's a big part of why you won both races today?
Yeah, I think that was the decisive part. I was able to pull the gap to around 9 tenths, and from there on, the driver that was behind me, he couldn't catch me. So from there, I just had to do my race, and then yeah, at the end was close, but I'm happy I won both races.
By our mathematics, you look like you're going to be coming out with the championship lead at the end of this today's events. Any reaction to that? It's pretty good to have that happen in the middle of the season.
It's really nice, but next track I'm not that great. Let's see. It was supposed to be Nürburgring this week, which is a track I'm pretty good, the Grand Prix one. So let's see later on. I'm pretty confident I can keep this pace, but let's see. A lot can happen with this draft package. So sometimes we just have to use the opportunities we have, like I had in the start, and go from there.
Yeah, well, we're definitely looking forward to the next event. Silverstone is the next track that we're going to be heading to at the end of this month. Diogo, you said you're not too good at it.
Yeah.
just tell me, you know, if you know what your expectations coming into this one is. So I'm guessing, due to you not liking the track, then P1's off the card. So what position would you like to finish at Silverstone?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't like Hockenheim either, and I won. So let's see.
Okay, we'll see. It doesn't matter if you like the track.
But
It seems like it doesn't matter if you like the track or you don't. You're still somehow able to go quick on it. But thank you very much for joining us, Diogo. Go and enjoy your double race win here today, and we'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.
Well, there we go. Diogo Pinto there. Brilliant stuff. It's kind of surprising hearing him, Paul, say that he doesn't like Hockenheim. Well, he's still damn quick at it.
He should like it now, that's for sure. Yeah, definitely he had a good time out there. I can see this. We've actually got another taker for an interview. My goodness, I'm not used to this with multiple interviews. So, yeah, David Williams is wanting to come speak to us as well. So we should get a word with him because he was involved in some really good battles there. In fact, let's speak to him now. David, I mean, fourth place in race one, you gained a couple of positions in that one. You were involved in quite a few fights. Just talk us through your afternoon here at Hockenheim.
Yeah, hey guys, nice to, I mean, it's not a podium, but nice to be speaking with you. Qualifying was not particularly great. It's usually my weakness, but we still got sixth, which wasn't terrible. And then I got a really good start. Well, I got an okay start, but those ahead of me got really bad starts. I think Max in particular had a very poor one. And then it was just a case of really trying to hang on. I didn't have, despite the fourth place finishes, I didn't have very good pace today. I was fairly confident going into the event, but in the middle sector, I was losing quite a bit of time, and then I was experimenting throughout both races, trying to figure out how to get faster, and that was then, you know, turning into mistakes. And I was quite lucky, obviously, at the end to hold on to fourth. I think Gianni had a little bit of damage, which may have affected his top speed. At least that's what it looked like in my mirror. So yeah, I'm pretty happy.
Well, I was going to ask you, you brought up about the starts of people. If you want to explain to everybody at home, just how hard is it to get a good start, let alone a good start, a great start in this car?
Yeah, it really is very difficult because the car has proper clutch heat modeled. So in other words, you can't ride the clutch on the brake to hold it on the line. The clutch will overheat. So you really need two clutches with one set as the bite point. So you release a main clutch first, and then you have your second clutch on the bite point. But it's even not that simple, because if you release the first clutch too fast, you will sort of engage the wheels too quickly and you'll get wheel spin. I think that's what happened to Max. So you really need to be very, very disciplined to not sort of rush things.
Absolutely, and of course these lessons are available and more with VRS, but looking forward to the next round though. Silverstone, I mean, it's a home track for yourself. Is it a track that you particularly enjoy, or is it one that you maybe don't quite get everything out of?
Historically, it's been a track that I enjoy and like, but recently I haven't really had the best of results there in various competitions. So yeah, I'll be hoping to turn that around next time. I think we've got a bit of a break, if I'm correct, until the next round. So yeah.
Well, David, all the best. It's great to see you getting onto some form going into the midpoint of the season, and all the best for the second half of the season.
Thanks a lot, Paul.
Well, there we go. That was a little bit of a chat there with David Williams, feeling like we get a free driver coaching lesson with the start there and how to start a Porsche 911 GT3 Cup car. And something I certainly, I was aware about that the clutch model had been modeled and stuff like that, but I didn't know the exact process of how the drivers were manipulating the controls to be able to make sure they can get off the line pretty quickly. But yeah, great result for David Williams. Like you said, it's been a pretty torrid time over the last couple of races for him, getting involved into incidents here and there while being in a good position, top fives, etc., etc. So it's good to see him finally actually put a couple of good results up on the board and get some decent points.
Yeah, it really is good that he's able to get some form and be able to take this. And we talked about it with Pinto, the momentum into the second half of the championship. You know, some people say that momentum isn't a thing, and that you take each event as it comes. But if you get on a run of good form, you just feel so much more confident in yourself and in the car, and you just seem to be able to hit those marks with consistency lap after lap. Whereas if you're fighting things, if things aren't going quite your way, you make more mistakes. Before you know it, you're facing the wrong way. So yeah, momentum and form is a key thing here in motorsport, and especially in this championship.
It really, really is, but the man that comes out on top here today is Diogo Pinto. What a fantastic performance, scoring maximum points and has taken the championship lead coming into the next event at Silverstone. So we're in the back half of the season now, once we get to the British circuit. So on August 29th, we'll be racing there. Of course, then we'll go to the Nürburgring GP circuit. And then for round number 7, a bit of a track change. Originally, it was planned to be Suzuka, but instead we'll be heading to Austria. We'll be heading to the Red Bull Ring there on the 19th of September. And then it's a month between that and the final race of the season. The track is still very much a secret to the viewers and to the drivers, but that will be announced 48 hours before the event. So keep an eye out for that one. It might be a bit of a curveball for some of the drivers, who knows. But again, we're still a long way until that point, Paul, and still a lot of stories to be told until then.
I want to see these cars go around Indianapolis Motor Speedway. But no,
not giving away anything.
No, I know you're not. But no, it's been a tremendous opening half to the championship. It's been really entertaining to watch these drivers push themselves and push the cars to the limit. Okay, you're going to get some incidents happen in these championships, but overall, the level of competition has been absolutely outstanding. It's what we expected, really, in the championship of this nature.
It has, in a very, very large part, as we will, of course, be heading to Silverstone coming up next. And remember, this is an open championship. If you feel like you're good enough to race at this championship, and if you can feel that you can put up the lap times required in the time attack, then we might see you join us for the next round of competition. That is going to be on August 29th. That's when the race is going to be, but the qualifying, the time attack will be between the August 21st and August 26th. So that will be at Silverstone, so you can hot lap to your heart's desire, and hopefully you might qualify inside the top 32 and join us here today in one of these events. So get practicing, and we'll see you when we get to Silverstone in a good couple of weeks' time. I've been Connery Maddock, that's been Paul Smith, we've been RaceSpotTV, and we'll see you right there.